Jackson, what went into your decision to transfer to Auburn?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest factor for me is obviously things didn't go how I wanted to go last year, but for me I felt like it was time to move on, and for Auburn I felt like it was just the best fit for me. And they had the roster, they had the coaches, and they had the place that I wanted to be at.
Jackson, this is your second year in a row coming to SEC Media Days. Talk about the uniqueness of coming 2 years in a row with two different schools.
Yeah, it's different for sure, but honestly, the only thing that's different is the questions and the suit color. So,
being in the spot again a year later, kind of after the season you had last year in the transfer, how different do you feel now, and does this whole situation feel now compared to a year ago and maybe mid-season last year?
Yeah, it's a lot different, but I'm grateful for where I'm at. I know God's got a plan for me, whatever that is, and if that was to struggle last year and go through everything that I went through and persevere, then that's part of it. But I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I think I'm in a great spot to thrive.
How much did the scheme at Auburn play into your transfer, as far as the decision that you made and where you went?
Yeah.
You had multiple options, obviously, but how much did the scheme play into that?
I think the scheme was honestly probably the biggest factor. I feel like if the scheme didn't fit, Coach Freeze wouldn't have recruited me to begin with. But I think the RPO system that he runs and the shots that he takes reminded me a lot of high school and my years at OU, and having that experience and feeling comfortable in that system. I thought it was the best fit for me.
What went into the success that you had against Alabama last season at Oklahoma, and what are you looking to take into this year's Iron Bowl?
Yeah, I think for us the biggest success was the run game, whether it was me running the ball or just our running backs running the ball and being effective. I thought we had a really good game plan that week, and I don't know if we caught them off guard by running it so much, but I thought we were very aggressive that game and very efficient in decision making, whatever we did, and just went out and produced a good game.
Jackson, what do you anticipate the trip back to Norman being like for you?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Obviously a little weird being on the opposite sideline, but I'm excited to go out there and play in a stadium that I love to watch games in, I love to play games in, so I'm extremely excited for that game.
What would it mean to you to win the Iron Bowl, break Alabama's streak?
That'd be awesome. All the dudes on the team talked about, even the old fifth-year senior guys still haven't beat Alabama. They came close twice, but they haven't beat him yet. And so for those guys, I want them to get a win, one last win before hedging out.
Jackson, talk about the weapons you have in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, we got a bunch of studs out there. And we got too many to name. Honestly, we got just dudes that are going to go out there and give it their all. And it's not just dudes who slack off either. We got dudes who are extremely talented at playing football that love to work. They aren't entitled at all. They love to go out there and put in the work, put in the extra work, and go out there and be successful. I think for them, this season's going to be extremely fun for them this year.
How has the transition been from Oklahoma to Auburn? Anything that sticks out to you about it?
It's been good. A pretty smooth transition, and nothing. I don't even know how to put this. There was nothing I was worried about transferring to Auburn, but I feel like everybody welcomed me with opening arms, whether that's coaching staff, people that live in Auburn, players. Everyone welcomed me with open arms and just made it an easy transition for me.
With the receivers, you kind of got two big targets in guys like Cam and Horatio, and then you've got two real speedy guys like Malcolm and Aaron. How important and helpful was it for you to kind of have both of those archetypes at your disposal?
Yeah, it's fun. I think the biggest issue is choosing who to throw to, but they made my job a whole lot easier. Seriously, I think spring it's not the easiest spring I've had. Just being able to be a point guard and pass the ball around to a bunch of different guys. I could throw a little screen route for a couple of yards and they go and turn it 20+ yards, and it just made my job a whole lot easier and built a whole lot of confidence in myself. Just being able to throw 50-50 balls to those guys and trust that they're going to go up and make it.
Jackson, you said obviously last year wasn't ideal. Just coming off of that, have you seen maybe a difference in yourself throughout your process this summer preparing for the season, or what's kind of been maybe different?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm a different dude than I was last fall, but I do feel more confident in myself going into this year. And not that I didn't have any confidence last year, but obviously, like I said, things didn't go how we planned for it to go, and like I said, things happened, and one way or another. And I think this year, the team that we have and the coaches we have and the trust they have in me has built a lot of confidence in myself.
What did you see in the Missouri defensive line last season, and what are you looking forward to playing them again this year with a different team?
Yeah, no, their D-line was very good last year. Their defense was very good last year and caused us a lot of problems. And we had them towards the until the end of that game last year, but that'll be another fun team to go against again this year.
You talked since you got to Auburn about how important it was for you to, work with these receivers, get on the same page. Even talk about not going to the Manning Academy this year to really, build that relationship. How has that gone for you this summer with those guys?
Yeah, it's been good. And like I was saying earlier, like those dudes absolutely love the work, and got receivers hitting me up at freaking 8 o'clock at night trying to throw, and it's just I love that because it for me that shows that they care about it and they want to go out there and be great. Like I know Cameron, Eric, and Malcolm, Horatio, and Perry, and all those dudes, they want to go out there and be the best version of themselves and go out and put a great product on the field, which I absolutely love.
What types of things have you guys done maybe off the field to kind of help build that chemistry?
The biggest thing is just hanging out with each other. Like there doesn't always have to be theatrics involved in everything, or maybe if I go and take the O-line out to dinner, like I took them out to dinner, but I don't have to post about it. I just want to go out there and be with my guys and go hang out with the receivers and hang out with the running backs and tight ends and whoever, go play golf with them. Just being around those dudes and building that chemistry has been big for all of us.
What was your perception of Auburn before you transferred in?
I was actually born in Georgia, so I was a Georgia fan growing up, and it's I know about all the rivalries down here: Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, all the SEC rivalries. So I knew. Shoot, my childhood best friend was a huge Auburn fan. I used to always give him crap for it when I was young, but I understand the program, the tradition of Auburn, and the weight that the name holds, and I'm excited to uphold that standard.
How was the practices? I know Oklahoma, they're kind of synonymous with just intense, just very much practices and very intervals. What's been the biggest difference as far as just the day-to-day practices?
Yeah, I mean, the practices are scheduled a little bit different and structured a little bit different. But I mean, I feel like typically in college football, you're going to have your indie periods, your team separate periods, and your team periods together. And that part doesn't change. And I feel like the intensity is very similar. Maybe Coach V talked a little bit more after practice, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm just making a joke, but there's not much different in the intensity-wise of our practices. College football is college football. We're all doing the same thing. We're all working at the same time, the same allotted time. So,
Speaking of golf, you play golf with Coach Reese?
I have not yet.
What do you see for the guys that you're going to be handing the ball off to this year? Damari Allison, Jeremiah Cobb, Jarrell Robinson coming into. I know he's kind of banged up. What have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, no, like I said, a bunch of dudes that want to go out there and want to work. I think DA and Cobb showed me that not only can they run the ball, but they're threats in the passing game too. And I think that's crucial for us, being able to spread the ball out and get into empty sets and allow those guys to go out and run routes and go out and ship defenders and be matched up with linebackers out there. I think it's a huge advantage for us.
This is your first time not playing with guys like Peyton, Eli, Bone in a while. What's your relationship with them like now that you're at Auburn? Are you looking forward to line up against them?
Yeah, for sure. I haven't played against Peyton since middle school, back in the day, but that's still my guy. I talk to him dang near every day. Absolutely love those two, and like I said, I still talk to them. They're still some of my best friends. So.
What kind of challenge will that be to face Oklahoma's defense? Also, you've seen Venables' defense in practice and scrimmage and stuff, but what will that be like to face them in normal?
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, and just like every team you face in the SEC, their defense is going to be a challenge, man. I don't think just because it's Oklahoma, it's going to be our whole season is grueling. You play a bunch of good teams, a bunch of good defenses, and like I'm saying, it's going to be a tough one. Coach Venables is a fantastic defensive coach and great defensive mind, and he'll throw some stuff my way, which I probably won't be expecting, but just roll with the punches and go from there.
Hey Jackson, who's your favorite football player growing up, and who are some guys that you followed your game after?
I said when I was younger, I used to love watching Aaron Murray play football, and then like now more so, I love maybe not like the past 10 years, Aaron Rodgers in the NFL has been someone that I've really looked up to throwing the ball.
Jackson, you talked about how that moment to the SEC moment was that game against South Carolina last year. What else do you remember about that game, and what's your impression of yourself?
Yeah, I remember one of the first hits I took that game. I actually it was a power read, and I got blown up in the A gap. I actually crushed my finger, and I looked down and my whole finger was like purple, and like my whole fingernail was purple, and that was like that's like the welcome to SEC moment. But no, they were a talented squad last year, and Lenore is a fantastic player, and he's going to lead them to be a good team this year.
Can you talk about the differences between Auburn and OU and what sets Auburn apart?
In what way?
Just the two programs, like what are the differences that you've experienced and honestly just what sets Auburn apart?
Yeah, I mean, they're two storied programs. Obviously, they both have won their fair share of national championships, and it's two of some of the top brands in college football. And I don't want to nitpick and get into what's better and what's not better, but like I said, it's two great programs, and I'm super appreciative of the time I had at OU, and I'm super excited for my time at Auburn.
Breeze talked a lot about needing to win close games. How would you sort of describe yourself as an athlete and as a person, and how you process close game situations?
Yeah, I think last year was huge for me, being in close games. Even not pulling them out. Like somebody mentioned the Missouri game, that was a close game that we didn't pull out, and I think for me, being in those environments, even the hostile environments, especially the hostile environments, and not having things go our way, just learning from our mistakes and my mistakes in those games, and really, applying that experience and that leadership for this upcoming year will be big for us in those close games.
What's your relationship like with Deuce Knight, and what have you seen out of him so far?
Yeah, me and Deuce are like best friends, man. He's a fantastic dude. Loves the work, which I appreciate about him. He's not like a 5-star QB that comes in and kind of slacks off and is entitled. He loves to come in and work. Great competitor, makes me better every single day, and we feed off each other during practice and during the weight room and everything. So he's a great dude. I enjoy being around him.
A lot's been made today about the psychological tests that you guys have done with Coach Freeze. Is there anything that you may have learned about yourself from doing that?
I honestly didn't even look at my results. I didn't even study my results from it, but it kind of already confirmed what I knew about my personality. And it wasn't more so learning about myself, but more so exposing traits and maybe even some flaws and some things that wouldn't be so compatible with other traits. But I thought it was very unique doing that. He had me do that on my official visit one morning, and I don't know if he used it to weed out transfers or weed out incoming recruits or players or whatever it was, but it was unique, and I appreciate him taking it to that level and really diving into what makes people tick and what will flow with each other.
Was there anything in particular from that stuck out to you that you remember?
Not necessarily.
What do you want the identity of Auburn's offense to be this season?
Yeah, I just want us to be extremely efficient, putting up tons of yards per game, putting up a bunch of points. I know it's kind of cliche, but I expect a lot of things out of our offense, and I think we got all the talent in the world to go out there and be successful.
This is a fresh start at Auburn since your time in Oklahoma. Is there anything you're kind of approaching the whole season differently than what you did your last season?
Maybe not so approaching the season, but that's a good question. There's nothing I could sit here and nitpick and really think I'm doing that a lot different than last year. But I think just being in a new environment and being around a new playbook, and there's still some things I need to learn about how Coach wants us to prepare with film study and go into a game. So I feel like the question you just asked me, my answer could change in a couple of weeks when we really start getting into the Baylor film study and Baylor game.
Jackson, your first year at Oklahoma is under your belt. How much does that help you in your preparation? Saying, I've been through all these stadiums that I went to, going into your first year at all?
Yeah, no, it helps a lot. Having an experience like that and being in close games like that and being in tough games and against really good opponents, it only make me stronger. And, and honestly, it'll slow the game down for me a lot. Just knowing that I've been in those environments before, I've been in those big games, and whether we've won or lost the big games, I've been in that. I've had that experience, and that'll only help me in the future.
Jackson, can you talk about your confidence in Alex McPherson coming back, and also Towns McKinnon just sort of kicking field goals this season?
Yeah, no, a ton of confidence in those guys, and I'm super proud of Alex. I've been, I met Alex this January when he was 100 pounds and still getting back from being sick, and just to see him grow, and I think he gained 60 pounds this offseason. It was really cool seeing his transformation. I didn't see Alex, and I didn't know Alex before he became sick. I only knew Alex as he was sick, and just to see him kind of grow and continue to kick and continue to get healthy, it's really inspiring to see, honestly.
you're going back to Texas for your first, the Baylor game, A&M, and you go to Oklahoma. How excited is your family, and you get to go back there? I know you grew up here, but it's been 8 years out in the Metroplex.
Yeah, it's nice because my family gets to drive to a lot of our away games, so it's a lot easier on them. I think Waco's 2-hour drive, College Station's 3.5, Norman's 2.5, so it's easy on them, and I'm just super excited to kind of go back to my home state and what I claim as my home state and go out there and play. And especially that first game was a Friday Night Lights in Texas, man, you can't beat that.
Related to that, Jackson, what were your impressions of Texas in that game last season?
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, they went and played the college football playoff. I mean, they very talented team. I'm actually friends with Arch, and I think he's going to have a great season this year.
Are you keeping up with any of the fellow North Texas quarterbacks that are SEC? Nussmeier?
Yeah, I mean, keep up. I mean, I don't really, not a ton, but I will talk to them every once in a while. And, I'm good friends with Sorsby from Cincinnati, and I'll talk to those dudes every once in a while. But I feel like North Texas right now has been producing some good QBs, and me, Mateer at OU, and Nuss and Sorsby. Those are four college QBs right there that are out there.
Jackson, having
out there in college football.
Having played 6A Texas football and a season of SEC ball, how would you say they're kind of similar, and how would you say that kind of like Texas ball kind of prepared you for that?
Not similar at all. Oh. It's just a whole different level of football, honestly. And going from high school to Big 12 football, like it's so much different. Like it's hard to describe. But we do, like in high school, I did play a bunch of 5-stars and a bunch of dudes who were out there making plays in the SEC right now, and so that part of it was similar. But overall, college football is a lot tougher than high school football.
How has you as a leader changed from being at OU versus being at Auburn?
Yeah, I don't think my leadership style has changed much at all. I think just transferring over and transitioning into a new team with new players in a new role. There's not much that I really changed. I always try to pride myself in leading by example, and I always want to be more vocal than I am. I'm not saying I'm a quiet guy, but I'd always love to be more vocal. But I really try to pride myself in leading by example and showing others how certain things should be done.
Jackson, if you were talking to a young guy right now coming out of high school, what would you say to him about how hard it is to play quarterback in the SEC?
It's tough. It's tough to play quarterback in the SEC, but if you really put your mind to it and have a great mindset about it and be mentally tough, you're going to be perfectly fine. Just make sure you're in there studying the playbook, studying film, and really locking into your assignment and your role and your role on the team, and just locking in.
You mentioned growing up a Georgia fan. What are your thoughts on playing Georgia at home?
Yeah, a lot of fun. I'm super excited for that one. All my buddies back home are Georgia fans. My godparents are all Georgia fans, so it'll be a fun one for sure. They'll be at that game too, so I'd love to I'd love to talk some trash to my godfather. That'd be awesome.
Jackson, a little bit of a random question for you. What uniform in the SEC do you think is the best outside of Auburn?
Best SEC uniform. I loved our black uniforms at OU last year, our Unity ones. I'd have to say either Ole Miss's powder blues or A&M's all blacks.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I honestly like the all black because that's what I wore in high school, and I just really enjoyed that.
You've had a few different offensive coordinators, more than probably most college quarterbacks, with Levy, Luttrell, and even Finley for a little bit. Now being at Auburn, has the lack of continuity kind of been a challenge, or is it something that is just a part of the game?
That's a little bit of both. It's obviously, I didn't go into Oklahoma thinking I had 1 year with Levy. I thought 2, maybe 3 years. So I knew he was looking for a head coaching job. I wasn't naive, but I wanted a couple more years out of him. But I'd say it's definitely a challenge, getting to understand how an OC calls games and getting to work with them and, having that change, after the first year, in the middle of the second year. It's different for sure, but at the same time, it's part of the game. And, coaches are going to take, if an OC gets a head coaching job, they're going to take the head coaching job. It's just part of it.